All right, and thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. So, today we are closing out chapter 2 in this book of van life, and I just wanted to do a walk and talk today. So, let's reminisce about chapter 1 and 2 and talk about what will be coming up in chapter 3. So, I'm wrapping up this week down here on the Alabama Georgia line visiting my dad. Next week, I'll be in Nashville seeing old friends, and then I will be heading back out on the road, heading west, and we will start chapter 3. Let's remember back to chapter 1. Man, what a long and grueling chapter that was. It went on for almost 3 years, didn't it? Back in the early days of getting the van and moving out of the apartment, going full time in the van, learning how to do this whole van life thing. It was some tough times back then. Working the full-time job, living in the van full-time, sleeping in parking lots and on the side of the street at night in Nashville. It was a lot to learn, and it was quite an experience. Now, there was some really good times also, but looking back on it, the start of it was a bit of a struggle. I learned a whole lot, and I hope I have taken what I've learned and shown you in the videos how I did things, and hope it helped you. Yeah, so chapter 1 went on for almost 3 years until the day came in September of 2021 where I finally came to a time I could break free and hit the road full time as a full-time nomad. And that began chapter 2. That started back 5.5 months ago. And chapter 2 was incredible. It was just filled with adventure and exploration. And you guys were right there with me through the whole thing. You saw me leave the southeast and head west and travel across Texas and Oklahoma and finally get into my first campsite in New Mexico. I was sleeping in travel stops and rest areas and truck stops along the way. Man, looking back on it, in one way it seems like a long time ago, and in another way it seems like just yesterday. Chapter 2 was everything I ever dreamed of and more. Remember all of those beautiful campsites from Red River, New Mexico to Taos to Santa Fe, Flagstaff on down to Sedona, all the way down into the lowlands, Havasu, Quartzsite, Phoenix, ending up in Tucson. And I'm going to be putting a video series together that will disclose every location of all of my campsites. And I will be tagging in coordinates and descriptions in those videos. So that'll be coming up within the next few weeks. Yeah, chapter 2 had it all, from mystery to adventure, even romance there in the middle. And it ended with, as it usually does, a touch of heartache and even loneliness. I've had a lot of time this week to sit and think about what I would have done differently in chapter 2. And it's really not much. I wouldn't change much at all. I like the way everything just developed organically. There was so much spontaneity in chapter 2. The only thing I'm going to change in chapter 3 that I hope to change will be more interaction with group camping and group travel, and just to join a tribe, so to speak, and travel that way more in chapter 3. I've only been off the road for a week, and I'm already re-energized. I'm ready to get back out there and do this thing. I've had time to get some much needed maintenance done to the van. I noticed the other day that my starter battery, is coming up on 5 years old. So I went ahead and went to AutoZone and got a new battery. Put that in 2 days ago. I also did a big purge and got rid of a lot of things that I just didn't need. I had a lot of things I gave away at the thrift store and other things that I could sell. I took to the pawn shop and sold those, so I've got some extra pocket money from that. and I've got more room under the bed area of the van. I still need to get an oil change and a rotating balance, but I'll be doing that next week in Nashville. But I've been productive this week, tightening up loose things in the van like cabinets and things that tend to get a little loose from all of those rough desert roads. I've also been working on videos for sponsored products that have been coming in. I've got a lot of cool products to show you that'll be coming up, and I'll space those out, the next week or two to show you all of these things. It's everything from water filtration systems to new solar panels and battery banks and survival food kits, just amazing stuff that you really need to have on hand just in case stuff hits the fan. So I should be uploading a lot of content for you guys in the month of March. Between the series of videos I'll be doing from disclosing previous campsites to the new upcoming travel series from Chapter 3 and the product review videos, there'll be a lot of content coming up in March. Should be a busy month. The more I think about the upcoming spring and summer travel, the more excited I get. Sometimes I catch myself just scouring through Google Maps, trying to sort out destinations and using the camping apps to sort out National Forest land and BLM land. And it's just exciting just dreaming of what is coming down the pike. But there is one thing I'm more concerned about now than ever. I guess everybody knows about the war going on with Ukraine and Russia and how that is probably going to affect fuel prices. And my biggest expense is fuel. So I am trying to be proactive. I'm using the gasoline savings apps. I'm currently using an app called Get Upside, and I will put a link to that app in the description of this video because it's the best gas savings app I've ever used. It comes down to about every fill up, I am getting a free gallon of gas, and that's the biggest savings I've ever seen on any of these gas apps, and I've got them all. From BP to Shell, Exxon, Murphy. I've got all those apps. But with just the one app called Get Upside, I tend to save the most money on it. But still, I can already see that fuel costs are really going to hamper my travel plans. It's going to slow me down a lot. I'm not going to be able to go the far distance that I had originally planned, and I'm going to have to stay at locations probably about twice as long as I had originally wanted to. My first thought was, I really don't want to stay in one campsite over a week, but the fuel cost is going to force me to stay 2 weeks at a time at each location. I can kind of see that's just nowhere around it unless there's a miracle and fuel prices start to go down. But it's not going to stop me altogether. It's just going to limit the distance that I can travel. And, I'll make adjustments and we will make the best of the situation. This summer I had wanted to go up into British Columbia, Canada, but that is not going to happen now. That is off the docket because their fuel costs were already a lot higher than the fuel cost in USA out west. So that is off the chart now. That is not going to happen. I'm still hoping to make it as far as Oregon, but I think the majority of the summer will be in Colorado and Utah. And we will play it by ear, but I'm going to have to reel in my aspirations just a bit. So are you as excited as I am about what Chapter 3 has in store? I mean, the anticipation for me is boiling over. And I'm looking forward to meeting some of you in person, maybe caravanning some, camping together some, traveling to the next destination together. It's going to be a big time, and I'm ready to make it happen. Well, all right, my friends, let's wrap it up for now. Until next time, take care, be well, and smash that bell.